Into Bluetooth. Waiting for connection. Bluetooth connection succeeded.
Oh, can you stop performance where in case you start back moonwalking and hurt yourself, blind walking. Yeah, there's no place. 12 channel. It's a Yamaha. Do you know if Tink is playing with a band?
I just know that I saw she did something.
Yeah, she had a band there. Yeah. I thought about it when I saw it, but from what I've seen, and she didn't. I don't think she sings the tracks either. So she might be, but we got enough room to get it going.
Because, like I said, because we had also ran the set, we were like, it came out to 16 minutes. I think we stopped a little bit. So a little bit of wiggle room. That's why I was like, if that's the case, we can do a quick sound. Starting earlier than slightly earlier.
Yeah, because we have 6:15.
Coming this summer, the Vapa Center Summer Concert Series. A concert series unlike any before. Live music performances featuring some of the best local talents in the world. The Eventbrite links will be live. Volunteers are being sought. Vendors, reserve your spots. 5 concerts, 1 stage. The Vapa Summer Concert Series. Visit www.vapacenter.com/VapaSCS.
Yeah.
That's a nice spin on that. I like that. That's a really dope spin.
You good?
Yeah.
You like hurt yourself again.
No.
So last time I saw you. All right. You need anything? I'm good. Okay. Cool.
That looks good.
Yeah. Let me do a mic check real quick. Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Check, 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 check. Check, check. Check 1, 2. Ooh. Check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check 6. Tampa Bay Comic Convention is happening July 28th through the 30th, and tickets are on sale.
Are y'all ready? Are they waiting on Christmas? We live.
TV.
Yo, Watch. I never listen to that system. I'm going to teach you about the man. Watch. This is what I do. This is what I do. I'll wipe in the land.
Okay, we live.
Test. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
We're good. We're good. We're good. Go. We're rolling. We're rolling. Good. Go.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes. And thank you all so much. It is just so eager to get out here today. Thank you so much for coming to the Rock Center. My name is Chalice. I'll be emceeing this art talk. Please, if you could do us all a favor and tell us your name and your phone number first. I'm Lynette Matusik, she, her. Laurie Smithwick, she, her.
I'm Jaz Brennan, she, her.
I am also she, her. I didn't say that. That was my bad.
Hello?
Gotta get closer. Gotta get closer.
Hello?
Yeah, and then if you could also tell us your primary medium and favorite color. Dire questions.
Favorite color would be white. My primary medium is an empty room, and I think working with light and visual medium, a white room is the easiest to light up and manipulate. Medium. I am abstract
painter, printmaker, muralist, and soon to be 3D public artist. And favorite color is, some days it's orange, some days it's green.
I am still working out exactly what my favorite medium is. I'm a performer. I do aerial soaps. I have worked on with acrylic on campus. I'm hoping to start with ink on skin, and my favorite color is purple. And I love Laurie, what you mentioned as far as like some days it's this color, some days it's that color. It's like you just you're not feeling it. Yeah, just have to be real. It's not feeling it.
Keep going. I'll switch it up.
I always love green. Always, always, always. And depending on mood, orange sometimes becomes a runner.
If I may ask, I'm too curious. If I may ask, what mood brings up the orange?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you know, I first fell in love with orange when I was in high school, and a friend of mine had an orange T-shirt, and I loved it. Every time he wore that shirt, I was just like, God, I love that shirt. And I just decided that orange was my favorite color, but it wasn't. It was that I loved that orange T-shirt. So it really has to do a lot with what orange you're talking about. That's really more it. So I like sort of a lighter, yellowier orange, not as much the bold, redder orange.
Yeah, as artists, there's definitely like the different variations and shades of color that we become attracted to. Thank you for making that solidifying that.
My pleasure. I have an orange watch band.
Yeah. It's nice bird voice. Yeah, and I'm very excited to get more into like why you do what you do and how you do it. A question that I want to toss in there before I know that is, did you know advice? Like, did you have some artists involved, or was there at least one artist or something or someone to encourage you to make? Is that something that's just
I think my parents weren't very artsy, but they were very free spirits and encouraged creativity and art for nonfiction and my own. So they encouraged me to follow whatever path I would follow. I'm one of 6 siblings, and like every family has a country, but in my family, like everyone is like, none of us have that. Kind of cool how we all turned out to shows art.
That's dope. I definitely grew up in an arts household. My mom is a published writer and is also a very good artist. So growing up, we always created art together. I was encouraged to do whatever I want. Every year for my birthday, my favorite gift was, I grew up in Charlotte, and the art store in Charlotte when I was growing up was Binders. And every year, the number one thing I wanted for a gift for my birthday was a gift certificate Binders. And just loved those days where I got to wander around with all this money that I could just get whatever I wanted, no matter what I wanted, no restriction. So yeah, it was very encouraged and very still to this day.
So, my parents were not artists. My mom was a early elementary school teacher, so she was very craft oriented as a way of teaching about anything. If you want to understand a concept, we got an art project for that. But I also grew up in a creative community center who really became my family, started as my family, and continues to be. And so art was always something that was right at the forefront of what we were doing. If you had a problem, you were writing a play about it, you know. But I would not say that I was necessarily passionate in the direction of arts, but having that background to me switching into arts, that was easier.
I like this idea of using art to problem solve. I think
Yeah, that's kind of what artists do in some way is see a problem and figure out how to express it through some artistic or whatever that is.
Just a few technical difficulties with wind and outside, and street cleaners, and just all sorts of.
Street cleaners being absurdly diligent today.
Yes, they are not normally this diligent.
You're not this diligent on my street.
For some of our next questions, something that I experience as an artist is every now and then I have like a writer's block or a wall. So it's not always exhaustion or just sometimes it's just life, but every now and then it is just I have no creativity left in me. What have you all experienced that? And if so, how do you get out of it?
I think everyone goes through it from time to time. How it manifests for me is cook-cutterness. Like I'll start to copy myself, where I will do a show and run a show the exact same way I did before. I'll recognize that, and the best way to break of that, I think, is to take a step back, take a break, and I guess like brainstorm, like what you want to do to differentiate, like from one event to the next, and one show to the next, because you never want to really copy yourself. You don't want to copy other people, but a lot of people don't realize sometimes we fall into a pattern of repetition, and that in itself can form a writer's block.
I definitely have experienced that. I agree that I think all artists of every ilk experience that block. For me, it manifests exactly the same way, but I use a different word around it. For me, I feel like instead of creating, I'm decorating. That's how I begin to recognize it. This is not unique. I'm not creating, I'm just decorating. And that's when I start to get frustrated with myself. I'm iterating rather than creating. But interestingly, unlike you, the way that I work through a block is I have found that I double down, actually is the right phrase. I double down on making art. I don't take a break. Taking a break is actually death for me. For me, it's things are not working. You got to just power through this. Make art every day, and that often turns into a form of some kind of I'll create a project where I have to create something every day, and generally that once I make this rule for myself or create an assignment like that for myself, then it doesn't matter whether what I'm creating is good or bad, because I just have to create every day. I've got the rules. Here's the project. The project's not going to be complete till I do it every day. And eventually I always find myself popping out of the block on the other side going, whoa, look at that. That's creative now, no longer decorating. So it's very much of a power through sort of thing for me, as opposed to waiting for inspiration to strike.
That's super interesting. I feel like I rest somewhere in between both of you. That art for me is relatively new. To consider myself an artist is something that's over the last maybe 3 years. So the books that I hit, I do also get them, but I think that I don't push myself through by giving myself a project. Instead, I find all the other ways that I'm being creative in my life, and kind of honor that and give myself some grace because of all the different ways I'm using creativity and making art that is not necessarily directly linked to my art form, my primary art form, but is still me using my creativity, still me putting out.
Can't do anything about that. Sorry, I can't.
Still call up your guys, Arthur. but it's still creating art. It's still moving and using my creativity, going for, using that kind of inner creator instead of that idea of art. So, okay, I'm creating this. I'll go for a walk in the woods or something and create an entire story about these woods that I won't ever write down. It doesn't facilitate anything outside of me finding myself alone in my imagination.
It's not on my. That's a great. And similarly to that, a lot of times what I'll do, I'll switch medium. Right. So if I've been painting a lot and I'm feeling like, oh, I'm so sick of painting and I'm sick of what I'm doing, I'll maybe just play with collage for a day or, something like that to jolt me out of it. But I think the similarity is don't stop being creative just because you're not feeling what you're making.
No, and there's something to be said about the repetition and even the decorating, just going outside and medium, getting out of your head, maybe getting in your head a little bit, but just a different, in and out of your head, but maybe just like a different area of your head. Yeah. Let's go relax over here for a minute. But with all of these wonderful suggestions, something a art professor did in college, one of her homework assignments was 51-hour paintings. So for one whole hour, you only worked on that one painting. And every now and then it got a little repetitive, but with each one, because you were always working, like you did a brush stroke just differently. It was huge individually for me to learn and get out of my head. But no, it's way more important. All of these examples are so, thank you all. Great examples. Gonna get back on topic with the questions. Was there or is there a significant difference between becoming a full-time artist and becoming a part-time artist? Whether let's not even use the word artist. Let's just say creating. What have you done or noticed with full-time creating and part-time creating?
I think for me, I went full-time into art for the first time in 2020 during the pandemic. Saw an opportunity post-COVID for more shows, more everything, and a lot of people getting out of live production, live shows, live things. So it felt like time for new blood. So that was my first jump into full-time. After a little while, trial and error, I backed off, went back to corporate for like a little while. And I guess the idea for me of full-time and part-time is that like you don't always have to stay in one thing. Like you can kind of go back and maybe that even helps with the motivation sometimes and the writer's block. Sometimes use corporate as a means to fund your art and kind of create a launch pad. Can really be beneficial. The big difference though is for me is kind of the freedom that you get, and you only get that as a full-time artist. Like when you have commitments to other things that you don't even want to do and that feel like a necessity to survive, that can be really stifling from a creative standpoint, or it can kind of derail your art a little bit.
I think we all completely resonate with just like, yep, that's right. That's unfortunately this life thing is just a bigger responsibility.
So I have an interesting angle on that too, which is that I actually went to art school to be a graphic designer, and I worked as a graphic designer full-time since I was 24 years old. So I've been a full-time artist all my life, but I was a full-time artist in the corporate world. So so I have been working as a full-time artist as a painter, printmaker, muralist since about 2018. And it is drastically different creating out of play versus creating as an assignment. And I'll give myself assignments. I just talked about that, right? But the best form of creativity, which never existed a day in my life as a graphic designer, creative director, was to go to the studio today and just put some paint on something. That's it. What happens if I do this? That doesn't happen when you're not, when you're not working as a full-time artist, not doing a commission, not doing a job. When you're just going to your studio, creating, and that's your job, is to go to your studio and create. That was the most life-altering moment for me when I realized that my job was to go to the studio and play today. And it's the best landing spot I've ever found. I hope it never goes away.
I again come to this a little differently because I've been in social work for the past decade and am new again into the art realm. I knew that I couldn't go directly into art, but it was something that I wanted to pursue both for spiritual reasons, but also just world that I think is the best seated space for change, for advocacy, outside of social work. So I, instead of coming and jumping into a full-time art career for myself producing art, I came to find somewhere where I could be full-time with artists. Baba really has been a huge blessing to be able to be around all of these folks who have taken their artwork into full-time practice, to allow me to see kind of what it is that I need to know about myself as an artist, what I need to build for myself as an artist, and get inspiration and motivation from each and every one of you, before I then jump off and try my own hand in a full-time art profession. So I don't know if I'd necessarily say I'm a full-time artist, but I'm a full-time artist. That doesn't make sense.
You're adjacent to full-time artist.
Yeah, exactly. Artist adjacent. I like that. I kind of want that around all of these folks who have taken their artwork and practice, to allow us to see what it is that
yeah, that's why
myself as an artist,
True.
Hello? Yeah, so that's like why to derail the formality of artists, the formal, fancy bourgeois shenanigans. We don't need that. We don't need that here. Yeah, just a full-time, part-time creative. One of the reasons I went down that road. But something Laurie said, I wanted to derail the tiniest bit. Play. So as a painter, I'm very familiar with what that play looks like. It's literally paint on canvas and there's no action. You're doing whatever comes to your brain and maybe it works. What does that look like for Lynette and Jaz? Specifically with like, do you like mess with the lights more or the music?
So for me, it's technology. My background is computer science, and how that translates to art is through the form of like working DMX lighting or learning a new kind of visual trick and that can mix like different video clips together, or software and learning a new type of software. and it's just kind of experimentation, like what kind of software I want to use, and versus what I'm trying to accomplish with that. And whenever you have that breakthrough moment of like, okay, well, these are connected, and they're not really like in sync, but then they all sync up and have that breakthrough moment, it just opens up almost a whole new like medium for you to explore and to create with. And when you unlock that, then it's just, for me personally, it's all play from there, because I mix all these lights in a different way, and I can do all these different things with this software and do all these different visual things.
Yeah, I get that, especially specifically more with color and brushes and canvas. Like, you need to know how your tools work, and then you can play. Yeah, heck yeah. And for those of us that are curious about what DMX means, that's, I'm assuming, not the artist. And I was very curious.
So it's digital multiplex, yeah. A lot of the technicals, like they get more technical than they need to be. It's like from my perspective, I'm like, that's, you can look at it and get really into the nerdy side of the technology, but for me it's more like, what can I do with it, and how can I make it light up the room right? And for that, it's not even about technicals as much. It's know how to use the software and how to use it, and then push your tools.
I think for me, with regards to play, it doesn't happen in my visual artwork. I don't know how to play on a canvas. I really don't. Something I probably should learn at some point, especially to learn what all of your tools do. This is all, again, new, so that's not where I feel comfortable playing with my creativity. Where I feel most comfortable is on the silks, or in a tree. I'm a climber. I love to climb, whether it's a pole, whether it's a rope, whether it's silks, it doesn't matter. That is where my inner child lights up and enjoys being goofy and spontaneous, and allows for more mistakes to happen. Whereas I found that in the visual art realm, I'm very nervous to make any mark. Actually, probably one of the biggest fears that I've had to really take a look at when thinking about becoming a tattoo artist is that making a permanent mark on something in a visual, on canvas or on skin, feels very, very uncomfortable. So that's something that I am still gathering about me and learning as we continue this journey. But on silks, in the air, play around all day.
So I'm curious, what is it about, so forget tattooing, because yeah, that's scary as heck, right? But what is it about a canvas that feels intimidating?
Thank you for asking that, because I was about to. Well, because like with canvas, you can paint over it.
Exactly.
Or you can wear.
I didn't even know that, actually. But I do now, but that's something recent that I've learned, that people paint over canvases. So I think some of that initial fear is just that concept of like, oh, these are expensive. Like this
Right.
material is not something that I want to buy over and over and over again. Now that I know that people do paint over canvases, they do. Every day.
Don't. In fact, there's a word for that. It's called pentimento.
Pentimento?
Here's your vocabulary word of the day.
Pentimento.
It's called pentimento.
Okay.
And it means exactly that. It means covering up something old with something new. But it almost specifically means art. I mean, that's literally what it is. And so you'll hear, if you ever read anything about art restorers, right? They'll often, there are all kinds of stories of art restorers working on some known artist, like I was restoring this Monet and I found a whole other painting underneath it. So that's the term, is another painting, which I love the idea of the layers of that, right? Like the growth that needs to happen in order to go from the thing that for whatever reason you felt like didn't work to something that did. but there's no limit to how many layers you can add to a painting that way, right? So
See, this is why I love working at Baba, because these are things I didn't know and I grow from. You know, this is a great way to start to overcome that anxiety and that fear of putting your permanent mark on something. Is recognizing that, like, you know, growth happens in layers consistently, no matter if it's a canvas, no matter if it's a person. You're consistently growing in layers. So I love that. Pentimento. Keep it on.
pentimento, not to be confused with pentimento cheese,
Which is delicious.
which is delicious.
Yeah, this is going great, y'all. And then last but not least, and then we'll open up questions to our wonderful audience. Could you offer any pro tips to anyone seeking art as a career? Whether that's part-time, full-time, just creative, not the formal title of artist. Any pro tips?
I would recommend to dive in and just kind of jump in. Like, no matter what fears you have, no matter what you feel is holding you back, or whatever uncertainty you have, the best way to get over that is to just jump in. You'll figure it out, because it's sink or swim sometimes, and you'll learn to swim. You will, because if it's something you're passionate about, you'll like it.
I think, sorry, spam is calling me back. I think that if you want to create, you just need to start creating. So if you are looking at it as let's say a financial question, right? How do I earn money this way? If you have a job that does earn you the right amount of money that you need to be carving out time to create. And what just happens, this sounds like, I don't know, touch, but the idea of make sure that you're doing the thing that you want to be doing, right? And that's how you manifest what you want to do. I actually have this quote on my door. If you come by my studio at Papa, I have the quote on my door: if you want to be the noun, you have to do the verb. So if you want to be a writer, you have to write. If you want to be a dancer, you have to dance. If you want to be an artist, you have to art, et cetera, right? And so that actually paves the way to become an artist, or what you're doing. Because if you want to be an artist, you have to make sure you're making art. And it doesn't matter whether you have a full-time job in corporate, you just need to make art. And eventually, if that's your goal, it just will manifest. There's no other way to explain it. And that's the magic of it, is that it just does manifest. That's just how the world works. If you want to do it, and it will make itself happen.
I definitely agree with both of those. I think what I would add is find your community. And that, again, that goes for everything. But if you want to be the noun, you have to verb, and part of that verb is finding other people who are verbing. So that's one pro tip. And then I think the other for me is kind of a fake it till you make it / believe in yourself. And I think those are maybe two of the same concept in this scenario, in that you do have to just do it. You got to jump in there and sink or swim, but you have to believe that you can swim.
Neil Gaiman, the writer, right? We love Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman has a line that's a variation of fake it till you make it, which I like better which I love because it's a different twist on it, but it's the exact same message. And his line is, pretend you're good at it, right? Just pretend you're good at it. What if you were good? What would you do if you were already a professional artist? Do that.
Something a college buddy said was just go straight to expert. Just yeah. Just dive in head first.
That's truly the story of my life.
Yeah, the only other way I've heard it that I enjoy too is the tomorrow life, right? You live your tomorrow life today, and it turns out it happens tomorrow too. That kind of idea of, again, you live, you believe, you feel, see everything, you bring it to yourself. That manifestation it initiates in that belief that you can do it.
The tomorrow life is amazing. I've never heard that before. I love that.
It's a tomorrow life. It's solid.
No, and I love it that if you want to become the noun, you got to do the verb first. You got to be the verb first.
If you want to be the noun, you have to do the verb.
Do the verb. Yeah, because here at the Vapa Center, art is verb.
Art is a verb.
Art is a verb. Art every day. Every day. You could say something about that.
Oh, just to reiterate, community that's a really good point. Find community and find your niche, because VAPA is an amazing community. It's a collective of collectives. It's an overlap of many different communities, and when you have your community to add into the mix, that's how we all grow. And VAPA is kind of the tide that raises all boats. But adding more communities to that is kind of like how I see the future and envision the future of all of them.
Can we do like a collage at some point of phrases that come out of art talks? Because I feel like that would be really cool to be like, these are the words of the artists.
Where would it go? That's the only question. Yes.
Shameless plug, art gear.
Art gear, yes, that's right. Make sure you go to artgear.com.
The Vapa
Art Gear USA. Excellent. Yes. And also please /Vapa. Also go to the vapacenter.com. Yes. Also do that. Please and thank you very much. Also do that.
Follow us on social media.
Please. Stalk us.
Tip your always tip your waitress.
Or don't go back to that same restaurant. just don't go.
I want to say one more thing. I had another thought about becoming a professional artist that we didn't cover, since all three of us kind of said variations of the same thing. Another thing that I want to say, rooted in what you said about rising tide lifts all boats. That's one of my favorite phrases, because I believe that competition is fake. I think that it's an invention intended to pit people against each other, because real people don't actually feel what you imagine when you say the word competitive. Okay, like you might be jealous of people. You might feel envious that somebody got something that you would also like to have, but you don't feel, you don't feel angry at people for having what you don't have, right? The way I want to turn that into motivation is to say, well, I'm not that, so I can't do this, right? You're you, they're them. You're not taking their journey no matter what you do, right? Even if you want to paint exactly like them, your journey is going to look different. And you're in a different place. You're at there tomorrow. You're today. And that's the starting point you have to work from. So while you do want to look at what other people are doing, learn from your community, be a part of a community, you don't want to look at other people and let that demotivate you, right? You don't want to say, well, I'm not there, so I can't do this. You need to just stop and say, identify what it is you want to be doing and figure out how to do that every day.
I personally think it's kind of a silly quote, but it's losers focus on winners, winners focus on winning. And when I first heard this from a woman I would not have expected to say it first, I thought, that doesn't mathematically make sense. But also, that's also ridiculous, because you're always following winners. If you are actively seeking out mentors, if you are actively researching your skill set, you take from the race. And that's not a loser attitude or a losing attitude. That's the winner's mindset, is really understanding that you're not the first in the scenario. If you are, I mean, dope, like, go do you. But also you can learn so much from other people. That sense of competition is a form of procrastination and self-detriment, and to push yourself past that feeling. Recognize it maybe as, I'm not angry at you, but I'm angry at myself for not doing what I need to do to get to where you are.
Yes.
And that offers you an actionable item of, oh, I can work on that every single day. There's the verb. There's the verb. So yeah, I like that you brought that to the table.
Austin Kleon, who's a fantastic person to know about if you don't know about him already. Austin Kleon on Instagram and et cetera, is a writer who draws. That's his elevator statement about himself. Writer who draws. And he's written 3 amazing books about being a creative person. One of his books is called Steal Like an Artist. And it's an incredible book. And basically what it says is, we're in the year 2023. You cannot create something new. That doesn't exist, right? Every color exists, every form of art exists, every song exists, everything exists. But how can you, basically what we're doing every day that we create art is we're making a collage, right? We're taking, it's what AI is doing, it's what everybody's doing. We're all doing the same thing. We're taking everything that we see out in the world, everything that we've experienced, and we're turning it into something that we've created. It's basically a collage over and over and over again. But acknowledging who your sources are can be a part of your growth, right? And so that's the basic essence of Steal Like an Artist, is I really love that. I want to figure out how I can incorporate that into my art. Not I will copy that, but how do I incorporate that into what I create?
And love that it doesn't matter what you do, you're always creating something different. Like, you're always creating something new, because nobody has the sight that you have. And even if you're collecting all of these things and you're stealing like an artist, you're producing original work.
I kind of look at that as kind of building off of something rather than just taking that and saying, this is it. You're saying, what can I learn from this? Add it to what you already have to make your art grow and change.
Standing on the shoulder of giants.
The improv person in me wants to say that the yes and. Yeah, like, what else? Yes and. What else do you bring to it? So.
I did a TEDx talk a few years ago, and my talk was that all my life as a creative person, I've had people say to me, where do you get your ideas from? And they think there's this magical idea moment, right? Because this was the point of my TED talk, is because we use a very bad image to indicate an idea. What's the icon for an idea? A light bulb, right? How does a light bulb go on? You flip a switch, the light bulb goes on. Everybody who's creative knows that that's not how ideas come, right? You don't just like, even if you do have that moment where you're in the shower and you go, oh, I have an idea, right? It's not a light bulb, right? Ideas are more of a kaleidoscope. Here's how a kaleidoscope works. A kaleidoscope is a closed form containing all these different colors of things. And every time you turn it, they rearrange themselves. And it's an infinite number of arrangements. Every time you turn the thing, there's a new design. But it's a finite batch of stuff, right? We live in a finite world, but with infinite possibilities. And everything that you experience goes into your visual, your mental. The word I used was Rolodex, right? But everything you do goes, files in, and then it comes output. Banish the idea of a light bulb. Even the light bulb, this was also in my talk, even the light bulb wasn't a light bulb moment, right? One guy did this, and then other people improved on that, and then other people improved upon that. And we're actually living in a life right now. You brought up lights before. We're living in a world right now where the very way lights work is different from the way lights worked when we were all born. Every one of us was born in the incandescent world, right? And now we're living in the LED world. It's a completely different form of light. right? So nothing is a light bulb moment. Everything is an evolution.
Just to add on that too, I mean, to tie it all together, when you're talking about like standing on the shoulders of giants, and sometimes you're that giant. Like sometimes you'll have an idea and it's good, but it needs to be fleshed out a little bit, and that is a process. It takes time to do, and when you're afraid of like showing your art, or you're afraid of like a visual canvas being scary, like know that like your own work and your own vision can be a work in progress, and there's greatness in, there could be greatness in that, and you're the person to flesh that out. So sometimes you're the giant that you're standing on your own shoulders in a way. That's part of the evolutionary process of art in general.
I really like that. Because yeah, like how are you going to give a different perspective unless you stand on your own shoulders? Okay. And then I actually did have one more plugging question for each of you. Laurie, you mentioned you were going to have an installation up somewhere soon. Where's that going to be? Where can we find that?
So I was incredibly lucky to receive a fellowship from Blumenthal Performing Arts for their Charlotte International Art Festival coming up September 15th. And I created an idea out of my own dumb brain that I wanted to, so I'm obsessed with portals right now. Portals. My obsession is got my little grocery store summation. When you're a child, you're expected to believe in magic, right? Everybody expects children to believe in magic. We force Santa down their throats, and right, you read books about magic. It's all, but then you become an adult and you're actually expected to leave all that behind, right? You should not believe in magic. However, the word portal is this very everyday word. And the concept of a portal is that there's this magical thing that can take you wherever you want to go. Instantly, instant gratification. And that never stops being seductive, right? Don't we all wish, like, it works its way in our everyday language all the time, right? I wish I could just do this, right? I wish I could just be home. I wish I could just be a professional artist. So I'm very obsessed with the concept of portals and possibility, right? So I had the idea that, so I've been painting portals for a couple of years now, actually. And I had the idea, like, what if I could just make one of my portals? And so I put this idea together and I pulled a budget together, and the Blumenthal decided that it was worthwhile. So I'm going to be creating a 3-dimensional portal that you can walk through. Down, it's probably going to be the Valentine's backyard at the new amp that they're building down there. So that's all I'm working on right now through September 15th. Thanks, I'm very excited about it.
No, congrats. That's so cool.
Thanks.
So cool. Where can people politely stalk you to find out more information?
Most active on Instagram, Laurie Smithwick, my first and last name, Laurie Smithwick, just like it sounds, on Instagram. And it's also, my website is lauriesmithwick.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so when I say suck, I do mean strictly on the social media. I'm just like, hey, what are you up to? That thing. New. Obviously.
Come to VAPA. Don't come to my home. Come to VAPA.
Again, respectfully. Again, respectfully. Specifically, every first Saturday on Grow Up in Studios. Lynette, when can we see your next show?
Well, if you're interested in a taste of a show, I'm after party this evening here, so there'll be some mixed visuals and like in deck format of different Charlotte like DJs and artists. The next show is June 10th here at Bethel. Yep, a Chicago artist named Deadweight. It's an outlet of aggression and a platform for non-binary artists. I would recommend, if you're interested in more information on that, to read up on the artist. And he did a recent interview with identity and to check that interview out.
Can we find that information?
Synesthesiaproductions.com is my website address, but that's actually something I kind of changed a lot. The address itself is always synesthesiaproductions.com, but where that links to is whatever I feel like showing the world at the time. And it's relevant. So sometimes it confuses people a little bit because it's not a traditional website, but sometimes it's literally a direct link to my social information or a single show or event. So synesthesiaproductions.com will take you to wherever you want to find out more information about my shows. Synesthesia, S-Y-N-E-S-C-H. S-I-A. It means to feel one sense through another, which is the, I guess, the emotion I put behind my art. To feel one sense through another is the cross. That better? Yeah, much better. Synesthesia is it means to feel one sense through another, and that's the emotion I try and put behind all of my art, and the feeling I'm trying to put behind everything I output.
Yeah. Thank you. And last but not least, Jaz, is there anything coming up for you in the near future?
Well, not for myself, but I happen to know this super cool character, Hilda Hatteras. She's on her way to the VAPA stage this evening at 8 o'clock for our 6 to 10 p.m. VAPA concert series. And I may be there also. We look alike, so you'll never know. But then also I will be doing a silks performance at Ariel CLT in, I think it's November. Date to be fully determined on my social media, although I will say it's spotty. Jazzatarius, Jazzittarius, the jazz version of the Sagittarius.
Can you also find, what was that character again that's going to be performing?
Hilda Hatteras is actually not a character that you can find at all. She randomly pops up to offer social commentary through storytelling.
She's off the grid is what I'm hearing.
She's off the grid. You can't find her. She doesn't want you to.
Kurt. That is excellent information. Thank you all so much. We have a little bit of time if we have some questions from the audience. Yes, we have.
Okay, so the question is, what do you guys do to keep you guys grounded or within the moment, in the present? Whenever you guys are tempted to drift back to that blockage that y'all yourself willingly go into, what are you guys use to stay off of that or to stay present?
For me, I think that music can be very grounding, and to just work on a playlist that is roughly the amount of time that I want to be productive and get work done. And that can kind of shape to the outlet of how I'm trying to work and what I'm trying to work on. So I guess that's my form of time management, is create playlist creation. That's a really good way for me to stay grounded.
I enjoy chanting. It's something that has been, again, kind of new to my life. I turned 30 and my whole life literally changed. I pulled myself out of a perception of the world that was necessary for me at the time. But to find myself in the present moment, to come back when I'm struggling, whenever I'm having a moment of anxiety or anything, I use my beads, which I realize I don't have today, which is why I feel a little flustered all over. But and I feel that if I don't have my beads on one day, even just touching them brings me that comfort. It rings at the vibration that I chant on them with, if that can make sense. So when I don't have those, I can feel the difference in my body. But when I do, it's just, a touch of those can be incredibly grounding in the moment. And then it's a daily morning prayer.
I go for a walk, but it's very specifically an art wander. I don't call it an art walk. I call it an art wander, and I'll set out with my phone, i.e., my camera, not my hardcore camera, but just the phone, and I'll sort of set a time similarly. So I'll set a, like, let's say I want to go for a walk for 2 hours. I'll set a timer for 1 hour, and I just head off in a direction. I see it looks interesting, that interests me, that makes me want to remember it. And I'll walk for an hour, and then when my timer goes off, I turn around and walk back, but never on the same side of the street, right? So I'll take the same journey back, but on the opposite side of the street.
Any questions from the audience?
I just want to say I love that. That's my favorite thing too. That does that speaks to me. Take my phone or my camera and just take a walk and look for little things that just speak to you and put you into the present. They make
I want to play some what grounds you. Something, another art talk we had previously, someone asked rest. How and what does rest look like for y'all? How do you do it? What is there a practice? Is there a routine, or is it just saying at the world, like, I'm gonna go in my hole and do nothing? What does rest look like? Rest. What do you think?
I'm like, rest? I'm like, it looks like
not
out
the cool,
of a mission car. Like,
not the cool stuff on like metal things. No. Yeah. Rest. R-E. R-E-S-T. Okay.
You're not on the list. Yeah.
Another day.
We're not on that part of the list yet.
Rest, I think, for me looks like is really rest. I kind of see it as the release of expectations. Stay true. Right? Release expectations. Stay true. You just gotta go out and do what you do, whether that's with your friends, whether it's with your big old horse dog who likes to play soccer, like that release of needing to be anything other than what you are, where you are, what you're doing, and what brings absolute joy.
So this might sound kind of backwards, but for me, rest is doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. If I'm running a show, if I'm staying very busy, for me, that is a release of all anxiety and stress. And I don't struggle with anxiety for that very reason, because in a high anxiety situation, I'm doing something, I'm being active, and that takes the pressure off what do I need to be doing, versus doing nothing and actually like having nothing on your plate and resting. That gives me anxiety because I wonder what I'm supposed to be doing, and then my brain is scrambling trying to find something to like focus on. So really, rest for me is being involved in a show and engaged with something, because then I don't have to think about what I should be doing. I'm doing it. So rest is really opposite of rest for me.
It's all right. I am terrible at rest. I'm 54 years old and I still haven't learned how to rest. I really and truly, I can't do it intentionally. I often go until I have to stop, and then I'll rest, or I will fill time with busy work, which doesn't feel restful. I somehow despite the fact that I'm an artist and I love to create and I love to read, and I love to listen to music and I play music, I am not good at recognizing that. I mean, I think I'm equating rest with taking time for myself, and I'm just terrible at that. I'm really, really bad at doing it. I would love to learn and become better at that. So rest for me looks a lot like burnout.
From a person
It's awful.
who's reached the level of significant burnout, I think that is such a powerful thing to recognize. It took me literally a year in a van with my dog traveling around alone, where I couldn't make expectations of myself or shoulds because I had removed myself from that so thoroughly, so that I could relearn what it meant to rest and how that fit into my concept of production, that concept of who I was as a human, and all of that. It's I'm glad you asked that question, because it's something that I think everybody should really look at within their own practice. Is what does it mean to rest for you, and why do you rest? Because when we hit that burnout phase, it's because we've completely imploded. We've run ourselves to the very end of our gas tank, and we're on the side of the road squealing, you know. So that it's such an important aspect of everyone's personal, you know, you can call it spiritual practice, you can call it self-practice, self-care practice, whatever you want. That is such an essential aspect of humans that our society doesn't want you to have. So like, it's an act of rebellion to rest. So go figure it out and do it.
One of the best, most balanced times in my life, it actually was when I was pregnant. And I have twin daughters, and I was pregnant during the summer in North Carolina. And my doctor said early on in my pregnancy, I went to an OBGYN, but she was born and raised in Asheville. So she brought an integrated sensibility to doctoring, right? And she told me early on in my pregnancy that she wanted me to avoid bed rest, which is mandated spending time in bed at some point in your pregnancy. She said, in order to avoid bed rest, I want you to lie down for an hour every day of your pregnancy. So, and that happened early on, right? So maybe 8 months of that, every single day I would stop what I was doing and go lie down for an hour. And that was the smartest thing anybody has ever told me to do. And I did it because I am really, really good at following instructions. I don't like letting people down, and I wanted to be able to say to her, I did that. Look, I avoided bed rest. But basically what she did was she said, we're going to take your bed rest and amortize it out over the entirety of your pregnancy, right? And I would give anything to be able to get in a mind space where I allow myself to do that again. Just say, I should probably stop for an hour every day and do nothing. But I don't know how to do that.
Laurie, I'm tasking you. Okay, I'm OBGYN here, but as your desk receptionist, 1 hour.
Part of your new lease.
Please put that in our social contract. 1 hour of rest.
Personalized social contracts. That's brilliant.
Just with Laurie Smithwick. By the way, I think you get gold stars for following those exact instructions. I would have not done that if I was pregnant. Like, what do you mean I need to sit down? This is bananas. Rest is not. It's very, very foreign to me. It's gross. I don't like it. But I know when I take 10 minutes, even just 10 minutes a day, not scrolling on my phone, which is a trap. It is, yes, it's not a rest. It's just a trap. I've recently found if I allow myself to do that and I avoid judging myself, like, oh no, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. Like, just shut that chatter up and just 10 minutes. I'm actually been finding I've been a pinch more productive. So it's that nice little weird balance. But that's just my own 33-something-year-old finding. And I'm still figuring it out. Usually sinus infection or what's, oh, cool, I'm resting now. I'm doing a great job. Yes.
I'm kind of noticing a common theme here, and I think it's pretty validating that, or to learn that, like, maybe it's just the mark of a creator that we don't rest, we create, and that's what we're doing, and that's why we're artists. So we're working on learning how, and like it's like rest is it's essential, and we know it, but maybe we don't always know how to do it.
I don't know. There's something about the little voice talking about too that comes up, that critique, inner critic who's like, you suck, you're not doing anything. I have found, again, in this like your introspective voyage, 30 is dope. 30 is dope.
I'm loving 30
They're
so
great.
far.
You're 33 as well.
Yes.
This is the year. This is the year. I'll say one thing that I enjoy doing with that inner critic is like laughing at you. Like, oh, you're so cute. You're over there so mad. Look at you. You hate me. Good on you. You know, it's a lot of fun to play with yourself in that way. It encourages, again, that playful reconnection. You may still have those, those thoughts that come up for you, and that might not ever go away, but also building and developing a like satirical, back and forth with that voice. I suck, you suck, bro. You suck, bro.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. We are going to be wrapping up for our first outdoor Pop Summer Conference Series. Can I get a woo? Yes, if you are watching this, get your butt over here. 700 North time. It's going to be cool. There's going to be food, maybe a booze truck, and yeah, come hang out. Unless there's any more questions. One last question.
What are you guys going to do to art today?
I fell out of a tree.
Yes, our executive director.
You did not fall out of the tree.
That's what he said.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Lynette, Laurie, and Jaz for coming out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting this. Awesome.
Good moderation. Thank you, Papa.
Thank you, crowd.
Thank you.
Thank you, crowd.
Cheers, y'all.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Hang on.
Big credit. Most of them have, a little space. I have to go to the bathroom. You are?
I've got some food in my stomach. Still hard to find something. May have to
Popcorn and figured.
I brought apple chips and seaweed.
That's it. I'll be back to help out anyway.